All right, this is 49ers Talk, brought to you by Big O Tires. At Big O, tire problems feel like no problems at all, thanks to their Protect Plus warranty. It's the industry-leading tire warranty that's free with Big O branded tires and covers flat repairs, replacements, and roadside assistance. Big O Tires, the team you trust. And Jennifer, I've applied sunscreen several times on this day. Good. As you can tell, for those of you watching, I'm at Edgewood Tahoe Golf Course, as I've been for the last few years, NBC Sports Bay Area, coming out here, all the celebrities, all the notable figures in sports. And so this week usually have the opportunity to catch up with some of those. And it's been a fun time. And a little bit later, you'll hear from Andrew Whitworth, the NFL analyst from Amazon Prime Video. He has some really interesting things to say about the 49ers. But what have you been up to?
Oh, a little bit of travel. I went to Seattle for business outside of World Cup, but man, I saw the World Cup crowds, and I rode on the light rail from about South Seattle to the airport right after the game. And let me tell you, it was packed full of people, all wearing jerseys, wearing American flags draped over them, and they were completely silent. So sad.
So you were up there for that in the year for that game.
I actually wasn't there for the game. I was there to kind of take care of some family stuff, but I
you were up there when the game was being played.
Yes. Yeah. So got caught up in the travel there and back, and it was, man, the city was alive, and Seattle gave them a great show. It was some of the best weather I've seen up there, 75 degrees, sunny. Everybody was happy until the game was over.
They were happy until they weren't happy.
Exactly.
We're going to be talking about football of a different kind on this episode of 49ers Talk. First off, I know we've talked about it, but it just seems like there's always a few more developments with the Brandon Aiyuk case. And I guess the latest would be him, again, going to social media, doing himself no favors, of course. He seems to now be in a social media spat with Jayden Daniels, the quarterback of the Commanders, the team that he had already said he was going to. But one of the latest things, too, that Brandon Aiyuk said was that, and I quote, this was a statement he put out on his Instagram story, "I will not be reinstating with them," meaning the 49ers, "nor doing any kind of business with them." Well, if he doesn't do any business and if he doesn't reinstate, he's not playing football. And so, I don't get it. There's probably some other stuff going on. He did express, some of his views of how he felt like the 49ers have treated him during this time. But it's kind of seems to me like right now he's putting, his pride ahead of his career.
In fact, even just today, Brandon Aiyuk addressed Jayden Daniels. There's been some back and forth. I actually thought they were joking at first, where Jayden Daniels was like, enjoy retirement, and gave him the peace sign, and that was quickly deleted. But today, Brandon Aiyuk said that Jayden Daniels said, "Hey, I don't really do that internet stuff. Hit me up on the phone if you need to talk to me." And Brandon Aiyuk says on his Instagram stories, did call him and he didn't pick up the phone. So I don't know whether there really is a true rift there or if it's just kind of them joking around. I wouldn't doubt it if they were really kind of just messing around with each other, just because, they've been close since college. So I wouldn't put it past them to kind of joke around and like, oh, let's see what everybody, let's stir up the masses. Let's see what we can put over as a story, and ultimately then still be friends in the long run, behind the scenes. I wouldn't put it past either of them to do that, but things have gotten a little crazy. I think you're right that Brandon Aiyuk, every time he goes on social media, I don't think it's helping him. I don't think him bad-mouthing another team makes the 31 other teams in the league go, oh, yes, let's sign that guy who's not an issue at all. I think no matter where he goes in the NFL, and I do think he'll get eventually signed somewhere, potentially as kind of like a tryout basis, very little guaranteed money, just the minimum, hugely incentive-based deal for 1 year. Some team's going to take a flyer on him. Yeah. But for the first however month or 2 months before he has a really, really good game, there's going to be distractions in the locker room from the media asking him all of the different details of why things happened, what's happening now, why he decided on that team. It's a clear distraction until he has a game where he puts up over 100 yards.
Yeah, and he did express some more of his feelings about expressing in a statement what happened with the 49ers. And one of the things he said was, when the news finally came out that my guarantees were voided in November, the team continued to lie to the media and fan base, acting as if that was not a decision that was made in July. And that's not accurate at all. I think from day one, we reported, and Kyle Shanahan stood in front of the media and said, this happened in late July. So I don't think he's accurate there. He did say that the team continuing to say that he was returning, despite the fact that I told them on numerous occasions that I would not be. And so that part, I believe, I think that, the 49ers did certainly continue to keep that door open. And Kyle Shanahan and others would say, well, we hope, we expect him back. We hope that he's back. Because I think from their standpoint, if he was healthy, they felt like he should have been out there playing. And so he might have behind the scenes told the 49ers he's not coming back. But, part of, I think, the reason and the reasoning, how this thing all fell apart, and the reserve left squad list and all that, was because he didn't want to play football for the 49ers last season. But it was
part of his explanation was also that with no guaranteed money and the severity of his injury, he didn't want to go on the field and risk injury and then have no guaranteed money the next year. That part actually does make sense. I understand that, but it's still baffling to me that he's saying it's just from rehab, not rehabbing with the team that, the team's rehab group. Yeah. He rehabbed outside of the building, which I think players can do. They just need to report for the examination prior to training camp so they can get a gauge of where they are at in their recovery and then plan accordingly. So I'm not sure whether it is actually just the rehab part or the reporting and getting the medical examination that he needed to get prior to training camp.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact, again, is if he's not going to reinstate, then the 49ers, I'm not sure the 49ers can release him because he's not even really part of the team. And so, I mean, and I don't even know that they would be required to, give him the option bonus if he's still under contract on September 1st, when that option bonus is due, if he hasn't reported and has shown no inclination to be reinstated. So anyway, it's a tangled mess. We probably talked more about it than we should, because it seems like, there's a lot of content with Brandon Aiyuk, and you said, giving us the update that just now he posted something as well. All right, yeah, let's turn it back to guys who are on the team. And Jennifer, the 49ers, their 8-player draft class, all wrapped up and ready to go for training camp when the rookies report on July 18th.
Yep. So Romello Height, Grayson Halton, both of the defensive linemen signed their deals. It's not one of those things where they're trying to get more money or less money. There's been kind of in the later rounds, first round picks, all their money is guaranteed. Sometimes there's a few little details that need to be ironed out, but the second round pick and beyond that, there has been over the past few years, past few seasons, guys trying to get more and more guaranteed money. Was it last year that I think almost the entire second round class was guaranteed money? So it's players trying to get more and more of that. And so that's generally what the hangup is and why they didn't sign right after they were drafted. So, but now they've got their entire defensive line ready to go, and they'll all be reporting in just a few days.
Yeah. The rookies on July 18th. I think the coaches come back July 22nd. So the rookies are there for several days, just kind of conditioning, getting up to speed about a week before the veterans show up, and the veterans report on July 25th. So it's getting really close. And as I mentioned, I'm at Tahoe at the American Century Championship, where last year George Kittle played. He's not playing this year, obviously, as he continues to go through physical therapy on the Achilles, but the 49er contingent that will be here, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, Kyle Juszczyk, and then a lot of people around the NFL. So in the coming days, we'll be rolling out some of those interviews. And on this day, I had an opportunity to catch up with Andrew Whitworth, who is, he's definitely in that conversation for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. May very well end up in the Pro Football Hall of Fame after a standout career as a tackle with the Bengals and the Rams, won a Super Bowl with the Rams, and now he's in the analyst chair, and he has a lot of great thoughts about the NFC West and the 49ers and a lot else. And so let's step aside, hear from our sponsors, and we'll come back and hear what Andrew Whitworth had to say. All right, we are back on 49ers Talk, brought to you by Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. So, yeah, there's a lot of, I think, Jennifer, a lot of enthusiasm. I mean, even more so than usual. I mean, this time of year, people get fired up for football. Mm-hmm. But I think the NFC West, any team, fan base, podcasters associated with the NFC West, it just seems more exciting than usual because of what the 49ers have done, what the Rams have done in particular, and also the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, they just ended so strong and were so good last year, won the Super Bowl. So, man, the NFC West is going to be strong once again, and it's going to be the best division in football once again.
Yeah, and I really think that what the 49ers did in regards to their wide receivers room has made a huge difference on the offensive side. It takes away some of the pressure that offensive linemen, speaking of Andrew Whitworth, how much they're going to have to block. If Brock Purdy can get rid of the ball faster, which is what we saw from Seattle and we saw it from the Los Angeles Rams, if Brock Purdy can get rid of the ball faster, get that timing down with his new wide receivers, I think it's going to change what Kyle Shanahan can do. It takes the pressure off the offensive line, and it takes a little bit of pressure off of Christian McCaffrey also, who has been posting crazy workout videos of himself during the offseason.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's hear what Andrew Whitworth had to say about the 49ers and the Rams. And, oh, my gosh, might Aaron Donald actually come back to the Rams? Andrew Whitworth is in a pretty good spot to give you his opinion. And so here is my conversation with Andrew Whitworth. All right, we are at the American Century Championship at Edgewood Tahoe Golf Tournament, joined by Andrew Whitworth of Amazon Prime Video, NFL analyst, and a former player, of course, for the Rams and in the NFC West. And what do you make of the NFC West heading into this season?
Man, unbelievable. I can remember last year we had Rams-Niners in SoFi, and the Niners had an unbelievable showing in that game. Crazy ending to that one. And I remember that post-game desk being like, I'm not sure that the Niners, Seahawks, and Rams aren't the three best teams in the NFL. And I think I said one of these three teams will definitely be in the NFC Championship. I think as the year went on, you knew, with the injuries the Niners had, the Seahawks and Rams, one of these two teams is going to represent in the Super Bowl. And this year, Lord, I think all of them are going to be even better. I mean, I think we're going to see an improved Arizona team as well. So I think the NFC West, man, it's going to be kind of one of those problems the AFC North had a couple of those years where you're just beating up on each other a little bit because there's a lot of talent and some great coaches in that division.
If you were Trent Williams or just any offensive coach for the 49ers, any offensive player, and you see that the Rams acquire Myles Garrett, what would you be thinking?
Well, I mean, that, and you think of how good Seattle's defense was last year, you're probably saying, gosh, I mean, there's two games now, a year in our division where it's going to be home and away. We're going to end up with 4 games that we're playing against two of the best defenses in the NFL. Because, I mean, I would imagine Seattle's going to be really good again on defense. And then you look at what the Rams have done, with Myles Garrett, being a big headline of it. But let's not forget about the corners. I mean, they went in free agency, and get Jalen, and then you go and trade for Trent. I mean, I think that when you look at this defense, people kind of forget they shored up the outside secondary part of it, which was the part that got criticized a lot before any of this happened. And then they go out, add one of the best players in the world in Myles Garrett. And then you might possibly get the interest of an Aaron Donald who might want to come back too.
Do you really think that's could happen? Will happen?
I think you could see it happen. I think in this day and age where the game is, where honestly health and fitness and wellness is, I mean, you look at it, AD's much like myself. I mean, training all the time, that doesn't really change for him. That's the life he always chose to be. That's why he was such an elite player, is when you talked about his consistency and who he was week in and week out, that was started with his off seasons were built that way. And so I have zero doubt this dude's in insane shape year round. It's just going to be for him. AD's also somebody that why he was what he was is nothing he does is not in a way of excellence. And he's not going to come halfway this thing. He's not going to come in and go, oh man, you just play here or there when we need you. Like, he won't do that. That won't be the life he'll live. So he's going to want to be a part of this thing and a reason they win. And a byproduct of the effort and the energy and the excellence in the way he lives will be that they'll have success. He won't sign up just because he thinks they'll win. He won't sign up because he thinks he'll make more money. He'll sign up because he wants to show people he's still one of the best in the world. And if anything, knowing him, I'm even better than Myles Garrett. Like, I could see him having that mindset because that's kind of how he is. So, man, it would be scary if he gets there. But I think he's going to take this month. I've talked to him plenty. Work out, train, and see if the itch comes, and that's just the reality. Like, you got to find out if that passion's still there.
God, he's him, obviously. I don't, but I just thought, like, if it works, if it's something that he would do, it'd probably be later in the season, November, kind of see if it makes sense at that point. But you think if he's in, he's in?
Well, I think the timing of it could change because it's just really, when does he hit the point where his body, he thinks, is ready to go? Because my biggest fears for him would not be, can he still be good? It would not be, is Aaron Donald going to still have some of the talents and abilities and the work ethic? I got zero concern about that. But has the body done explosive things, running? People forget, like, part of this game is a bunch of 300-pound, huge, powerful men running into each other constantly. So has the body been under that? I mean, there is a truth to some of the impact you've been through, some of the, just over time, wear and tear. You've kind of built a normalcy to it. And then when you stop, you lose some of that, right? And so, is his body prepped and ready? So there may be a time of training to get ready, and then there may be a time of, all right, how do we acclimate to being back to football life a little bit? Like, maybe I want to practice and compete a little and feel some of that before I start thinking about whether I'm getting on the field. And so I think that'll be the interesting part.
Through the years when Aaron Donald was going up against Kyle Shanahan's offense, it seemed like the 49ers didn't stop him, not even close, but they somewhat continued. He wasn't wrecking games, and it's because it seemed like 49ers were able to kind of really focus in on him. But how difficult is it for an offensive mind to take multiple defensive linemen out of the game? I mean, that seems almost impossible.
Yeah, I think the challenge, when you play a Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay or any of these, Kevin O'Connell, some of these great OCs, Sean Payton even, that just know how to build a game plan behind, we're not going to let this guy wreck our game plan. A lot of what they do is going to be predicated off of, you will not be the person who stops them, right? Now, they may get stopped because they literally just focused on stopping you and they put themselves in some tougher positions and some other people had to win that didn't, but they're not going to get beat by you in any way possible they can control. And so I think that's the other part that I think would probably pique AD's interest even more, is that people forget his last couple of years in the league, he's getting doubled, tripled. You listen to Jason Kelsey talk about when the Eagles would play him, like, hey, no matter what, any play we had, I was going and doubling AD with the guard. Like, whatever guard had him, whatever we do, we could care less what happens outside of that. We're making sure he gets 4 hands put on him. And so that was the world he lived in, which also I think led to him retiring early, because you get frustrated. Like, you just don't ever get a chance to just play mano-a-mano. When you play with Myles Garrett, how you have to stop edge rushers is you've got to apply some kind of edge force guy who's going to chip him, distract him, slide to him, a lot of these things. Well, if you start to live in a world where you go, hey, we might separate these two, and one goes on one side and one goes on the other, and now these slides, this extra guy, there's only 5 linemen and there's 4 D linemen or sometimes 5 D linemen. So the reality is the slides can't go there anymore. And so how do you allocate guys to help? And so I think that that's probably what has AD and Myles both excited if this really happened, because it's like, all right, one of us is getting a whole lot more one-on-ones than we've ever gotten in our career, which really puts them in a position to be even more successful.
You were one of the great tackles. I would love to get your perspective on this, because in the Bay Area, a lot of people are, complain every year around the draft. Warriors need to take an offensive lineman in the first round or second round. They need to bulk up that offensive line. They rarely do. They put their resources in other spots. What do you feel about the philosophy of how the 49ers have built their offensive line? And is it the right approach? Is the offensive line is it a plus or a minus when it comes to the 49ers?
Well, I think tackle's a tough one. I think there's a lot of coaches, a lot of GMs and scouts and everything else out there that I don't know if they understand the position as well as maybe they think they do. And so I think that's a tough position. I think that you have to have some rare traits to be really good at that. And that's why I think every year there's a couple just primo guys that if you don't get one of them, you're kind of guessing a little bit and you're hoping that there's some development things that happen. I think that, what I would say is you look how successful the Niners have been on offense. It hasn't slowed them down that much. Now, part of that is because they've had, arguably what I would consider, in my opinion, the greatest of all time, and Trent Williams as their left tackle. But when he's gone, we are going to have to draft a guy. We're going to have to develop some young guys that become elite guys if we want to continue to have success, because a lot of their offensive success has been built around Trent. And you look at their team when he's not in there, there's a huge difference in fall off in their production offensively. So I think, to me, it does scream that maybe they just don't have a lot of confidence in their ability to select the right one, because I think this is the problem with offensive line. When you're going to allocate a first-round pick or a second-round pick to an offensive lineman, a lot of people love that theory, but you better be damn good at picking it, because when you hit on offensive lineman, it could be unbelievable for your franchise early in the draft, because a great offensive line, a great D-line is the story, right, to successful football teams. But when you miss on a high pick like that, a skill player that's okay can still get you plenty of reps, plenty of ball. They're going to catch footballs. They may not be somebody you sign back, but they're going to be productive for you. You draft an unproductive lineman, you are cooked, because now you're getting a second, third, fourth tier lineman who's going to have to play because the money you allocated to this guy is worthless. And now your team is going to struggle because you're not going to get quality reps out of a guy. So you can both shoot your team forward and really set yourself back when you miss on offensive linemen.
Did you say that Trent Williams is the best tackle of all time?
In my opinion, I think he is.
Right. Why do you say that? Listen, there's a lot of great ones.
There's a lot of great ones. I think Anthony Munoz would be, probably the guy that most people would circle as the greatest of all time, really just because he was ahead of his time, for a lot of reasons. The athlete he was, the player he was, how consistent he was, what an unbelievable human, everything. Listen, he's a mentor of mine. So I say that with a lot of love and appreciation and respect for Anthony Munoz. But I think when you look at what Trent Williams has done, the length of his career, the Pro Bowls he's been a part of, the All-Pros, everything. And then you go, all right, if I had to say the run game, pass protection, out in space on screens, the guy's a human highlight reel in every aspect. And I don't know how many linemen you'd say fit every one of those descriptions the way he does. Walter Jones was a really special one in that sense, right? There's some great players, but if you said all the different aspects of what it is to be a lineman, and be a really good one, he's in the top elite portion of every one of those groups. And there's a lot of those guys that might be regarded as great all-time guys who I wouldn't say were elite at all those different things. He is elite at every single one of those. And now you're adding longevity on top of that. So now we've got longevity and elite in every single category. To me, that makes you the greatest.
That's a convincing argument. Okay, so you don't see the 49ers until week 15. 49ers and Chargers. So when that game rolls around, what are you expecting?
Man, listen, I'm looking for, because I'm excited about the Chargers too. So I love Kyle Shanahan. He's a friend and somebody I got a ton of respect for, him and John Lynch. So I can't wait to watch their team. Kittle's a good buddy. So listen, I love the energy and passion that dude brings. Kittle's got to be one of my favorite NFL players ever. Just the energy, the passion he brings every week, regardless of how good he is. The positivity and just energy that comes from that dude every time you're around him, you can see why their huddle's different for guys like that. And so I'm excited about where the Niners will be, but I'm really too. I mean, my boy Raheem Morris there on defense, I'm excited to see what he can do with them and
what would you expect him to do?
Well, I'm hoping he's going to do great. I mean, I think you look at Raheem and Sean and how they were together. I think Kyle and Raheem will be that way too, be able to lean on each other. There's already a relationship. I think that helps a ton. I think people forget sometimes that relationship between the play callers on both sides of the football, the head coach too, like in the sense of like how they can kind of, hey, I'm going to challenge you in practice with this. I want you to challenge me with that. Like their ability to play off each other will put their team in a position to be prepared better. But also the Chargers, like I'm excited to see McDaniels, and I really want to see where does Herbert and him go together, and like how does that marry up. That really, I wouldn't really say that what Justin Herbert's done great in the first few years really marries exactly with what he's, like, if you looked at Tua's time in Miami, like the kind of scheme that he did. So it's like, can he come a little bit Mike's way, and can Mike come a little bit his way, and the run game's going to help him a ton. Like I'm excited to see, you know, Harbaugh mixed with the new age version of the run game, and Mike, like what will they be able to do and the emphasis that'll go into it. I'm excited to see where this Chargers offense goes.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, hey, thank you so much. Have a fun time on the course and have a great season.
Hey, appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much.
All right. A lot of good stuff there, including Trent Williams, the best left tackle in the history of the NFL.
Wow.
I knew, you know, Trent's awesome, no doubt about it. But, man, it doesn't get any higher praise than that.
I mean, that's why, you know, when the players get that top 100 list, they love it so much because it's their peers. It's not the popularity contest of the fans. It's their peers, people that have played them, people that have watched film on them. I think, you know, someone complimenting them from that group means even more than what the fans think. It means a lot to players. And it's, you know, obviously that's a huge compliment to Trent Williams.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff here. And we'll be having interviews throughout. Going to try to catch up with Jerry Rice and some of the others, of course. And the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, Mike McDonald, he's here as well. And so maybe I'll have an opportunity to sit down with him and pick his brain about that division and the 49ers and the Seahawks rivalry. But, we're just trying to give the fans what they want here, Jennifer, on 49ers Talk.
Well, you know what some of the fans want? They want to know what happened at the Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce wedding. And guess who was there? The entire Kittle clan. It was George and Claire Kittle, Claire's mom. It was George's parents. And then Kyle and Kristen Juszczyk also were there at Madison Square Garden. They posted pictures outside. No pictures were allowed inside. But yeah, that was one of the reasons maybe he's not at the golf tournament this year outside of his Achilles as well, but big social calendar for the Kittles.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I hear you have a big social calendar with fans coming up and snapping photos. You've met some nice people up there in the Pacific Northwest.
I met them at LAX at the LAX airport. I want to give a shout out to the Higashi family who came up and their kids wanted to say hi and chat some 49ers football. So it was the Higashis, Akira, Kayvon, Saya, and then their parents, Natalie and Taylor. They were so nice and so kind. We talked about 49ers football for about a good 15 minutes. So yeah, nice. Always nice to chat with fans and fans of the podcast. Love that they subscribe and listen. Yeah, they listen to it when they're on the road in the car, and glad we can provide that entertainment while you're making your way through traffic.
Absolutely. And did you tell them leave a rating and a review, as we'll tell all of our listeners to 49ers Talk? It just kind of broadens the base here of this community. So, okay, good stuff, Jennifer. Again, thanks to Andrew Whitworth. 49ers won't see him, or he won't see the 49ers until deep into the season when they play the Chargers. But good stuff, and we'll have more content coming up here from Tahoe from the American Century Golf Tournament.
Put on your sunscreen.